This is a very much long overdue demo of Follow Up Boss. This has been a highly requested video for those who have either never used Follow Up Boss or they have, but they just don't know where to start. There's lots of options of what you can do in Follow Up Boss. The design is very beautiful, but you're not quite sure what means what, or you're just curious what Follow Up Boss looks like. So I'm going to dive into what Follow Up Boss is and what all the controls mean. I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty detail, which I think that's what all of you want. So this is not going to be a short video. That is not what this is. It's not going to be a brief explainer. I'm going to go into the details of Follow Up Boss. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and let's do this. So I'm going to show off one of my favorite features of Follow Up Boss, and that's the blur mode, which I'm enabling right now. The blur mode is an optional feature in Follow Up Boss for reasons just like this, where I'm able to blur phone numbers from being shown while I'm looking at Follow Up Boss, email addresses, lead sources, so that I can present and screen share on a screen recording like this or in a presentation without exposing any contact information. So I'm going to start off for when you first log into Follow Up Boss, you're taken to this dashboard. I like how simple and easy this dashboard is to read. You get to see a quick and easy brief overview of your CRM. So on this top middle platform here, where you see my cursor moving very sporadically, you can select to see if you have more than one user in your Follow Up Boss account. I do. You will have this drop down option to either view numbers for everyone on your team or for just you, of new leads that you've received, speed to action, average contact attempts, appointments made, deals in the next 30 days, and so on. If you track your deals in Follow Up Boss, I love Follow Up Boss so much. Even though I'm not a real estate agent, I use Follow Up Boss anyway, so we don't track deals traditionally like a real estate agent would. So I'm tracking this for everyone in our team. We're not a real estate team. And I'm looking at today, but I can switch this to look at the last 7 days and the last 30 days and the last 90 days to see how many leads we've received. And if I click on this number, I can quickly be taken to the full list of the 519 leads we've received in the last 90 days. You can see showing 519 people with the name, email, and all of the columns that are fully customizable, which I'll show you in a second. Then I'm being shown the average contact attempts. These are manual attempts, so automated messages that go out via drip campaigns or batch emails or newsletters do not count. Speed to action. We are not a traditional real estate team, so our speed to action sucks. We hope to continue to improve our speed to action. So like today, our speed to action is not bad because we operate like a traditional business Monday through Friday during business hours. So our speed to action is 8 minutes right now because it is a business day. But if you look at our average over the last 90 days, you saw that it was terrible. And we do track our appointments. So we have 74 appointments over the next 30 days. We track our sales appointments and we track our customer success appointments. And then if you tracked your deals, you could track your deals. And then below that, you'll see recent activity. So recent activity could mean clicking on something or opening something on an email. Inquiring, meaning the lead went to a form that they were sent or they went to a website. So clicked on an email, opened an email, inquired on a website, clicked on an email, opened an email, registered on an email. So I don't want to give away too much sensitive information, but you can see here that this lead is on here because they opened an email 17 minutes ago. So that's a quick view of the dashboard. Now let's go to the people screen. People is also known as the smart lists section in Follow Up Boss. For a brief explainer of the smart list section in Follow Up Boss, if you see where my cursor is going crazy, there's this how it works video. Basically, people when you click on all people, this number is indicating how many people are in our database. We have 7,481 people in our database. If you notice, I'm still only seeing 519 people. That's because Follow Up Boss saved the request I put in to show how many people were from the past 90 days that were new leads. So in order for me to see the all people on this far right side where my cursor is going crazy, I just click this X mark to remove that filter that was saved. And now I see, oh, it's just like one person off for whatever reason. But I see the full list of all of my leads. And so people, all people, this is a standard list that can never be removed from Follow Up Boss of all of the people in your Follow Up Boss account. Now, everything else, these tabs here, new leads, no call attempt, new leads not reached, back to website, resurrections, these are custom smart lists that I've created for our team manually. So these are not the default lists that you would see after creating a Follow Up Boss account. You would see something different. So what I love about the smart list, which that's a whole other like hour-long topic, which I actually did do a Follow Up Boss workshop just on smart lists that I'll ensure that I link to below this video, is a recap of the smart list is they are a saved list that is segmented in order to help you prioritize your leads each day. And you can consider your smart lists your daily calling lists. So I numbered them in order of importance. So you can see they are numbered 1 through 9, and then I have a whole bunch of others for our admin. They are ordered from 1 through 9, 1 being new leads with no call attempt. And you can see I've stacked a ton of filters here because I want to ensure I and my team only see the most important leads. So the most important filters that I recommend you use are stage. In our situation, we use the stage lead to indicate they are someone in our database that we have not reached, but we're continuing to try. They are created in our CRM less than 14 days ago, meaning they're newer. That's how they get classified as a new lead. I'm going to skip some of these here. Phone is good. I want this to be a calling list only. Our team only has so much time in our day to make calls and to reach out to people manually that there is no way we would have time to reach out to people manually via email. We use automation to help supplement with the email only leads. We have some additional automations and integrations that I'm super thankful to be married to a software developer who has integrated Zoom and Google Meet to where when people book calls on our calendar, they automatically add the Zoom or Google Meet URL. So if they already have a meeting booked with us, I exclude them from the smart list because if they already have a meeting booked with us, we don't need to call them proactively. Last call is empty. That's how they get labeled as no call attempt. In order for someone to no longer be labeled as no call attempt, a call has to be logged through the Follow Up Boss dialer. So what I love about the Follow Up Boss dialer is you can check off these people and start calling. So Chris Key is my husband. He's constantly doing tests. So I'm just going to pretend to call. And now it's calling. It's not actually going to call him. I'm going to hang up. And it says last call finished. But if it did call, then it would have connected to that phone call and proceeded with that conversation. A side note, which I'm kind of going sidetracked, there's just so many amazing features, is when I make that phone call, if I were to have talked to Chris and had a conversation with him, then Follow Up Boss now has artificial intelligence and it creates an AI call summary. So with the call dialer functionality enabled, and when you enable call recording, it automatically will transcribe that conversation. But you can see here, now that I at least attempted a outbound call to Chris, Chris is no longer on this list. And I've sorted this list by created new to old. So I'll be sure to link to that workshop of Smart List if you want to do a deep dive into smart lists. And below this video, I'll include a link to a Follow Up Boss crash course if you want to learn more about that. But you can see here, I've loved that I can segment out versus the traditional method of follow-ups is tasks. If I were to create these all as tasks, that is way too many people. 300, 93, 85, 116, 50, 6, 9. If I were to make this all just one giant task list, that would be way too many tasks to manage and I would get overwhelmed so quickly. So pulling up a person profile, I'll just use Chris as an example. You have the person's name here, their phone number or phone numbers. You can add multiple and add a label. Their email or emails, you can add multiple. Their address or addresses, you can add multiple. Relationship. So relationship is where if Chris had a spouse, aka me, you would put my name in here. You can put kids if the kid needed to be included in the communication, or partners or any other relationships. So for me, I'm helping my parents move, so I would like to be included in communication. So if my parents have a profile with their agent, then I am most likely in a relationship in the Follow Up Boss profile for them. Background would include any important information about Chris. So if you know for sure information about Chris that you always need to know, like Chris is looking for a house that's $600,000 with 5 bedrooms. I know that's unrealistic in most places. He has a dog, he has a kid. Any important information that is always there. And if you go over to the left corner of each box, you can click and drag and reorder these box widgets to your liking. Then you have a details section, so you can adjust the stage. My stages are a little bit crazy. I recommend keeping stages as simple as possible. However, I personally don't use Follow Up Boss in the traditional way. But below this video, I'll put a link to the guide for setting up Follow Up Boss. And in that guide is a stages guide for recommended stages for setting up Follow Up Boss. You can select the source of where Chris came from, but again, I am in blur mode, so you cannot see our sources. The assigned agent, so you can assign if Chris is assigned to one of our agents or in a pond or a group. You can assign to a first to claim group, for example. If Chris had a lender, we don't have any lenders in our account. The price that Chris is looking in and any tags. So tags are best for differentiating specifics like what they're looking for, and you can use your database as a reverse prospecting list. Custom fields, you can go crazy. We go crazy with our custom fields of any other important information. And then the social profile gets automatically uploaded. Follow Up Boss just searches Google. And whatever Google pushes back gets uploaded here. You unfortunately cannot change. As of recording this today, by the time you watch, there's probably more updates and releases since the time I record this and upload, and the time you watch it. You cannot edit this at the time of recording this. It's auto-populated, so if this is incorrect and you don't want to see this, you can just click the X box to remove the incorrect information, but you can't edit what it says. You most likely never ever want to click delete person unless it's a dummy lead that you're manually entering. You most likely just want to use the trash stage. This way, let me just type in trash. And then if you just click the check mark, then that permanently makes the stage trash. This way, if the lead re-inquires, it doesn't create a whole brand new lead and all of the previous history is gone forever. Then in this middle section here, you can create a note. The note does not count for any communication. So if you want something to be logged as a communication, then you need it to be a call note like this. And because I made a call to Chris, it actually added it to my call to Chris down here. You can send an email to Chris here or send a text message to Chris. Text messages out of Follow Up Boss get sent from your Follow Up Boss phone number. There is not a way to send text messages from the Follow Up Boss CRM from your mobile number. In fact, to my knowledge, you can't do that with any CRM. Mobile carriers are getting more and more strict with businesses and phone numbers and texting and opt-ins, and it's getting crazy out there. So the short answer is no, you cannot use your mobile number to text out of Follow Up Boss. You have to use the Follow Up Boss number. Then on this far right side here, you have tasks. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a big fan of using smart lists, so I recommend reserving tasks for what a smart list will not take care of. So we primarily use tasks for our virtual assistants or our admins. So my virtual assistant, because we work with clients all across the US, anytime we get a new lead, our virtual assistant puts in and searches for the lead's time zone so that when our ISA calls leads, they know ahead of time before they call a lead what the time zone of the lead, what the lead's time zone is, so they know not to call if it's too early or too late. Oh, I didn't mean to change leads here. Action plans. So you can attach an action plan manually. So if Chris were a brand new lead that I met in an open house and I manually added him, I might have attached an open house lead action plan. But I'm a huge fan of automation. I hardly ever manually assign an action plan, which in 2025, which you very well may be watching this video in 2025, Automations 2.0 is going to be sunsetting action plans. We use a third-party texting platform called Texting Betty to drip text. So that's what this widget is. Unless you use Texting Betty, you're not going to see that widget in your Follow Up Boss account. Activity. So if you use a website provider or an IDX provider that integrates with Follow Up Boss through an API integration or through the Follow Up Boss Pixel, you'll see activity. We don't have an IDX integration, but our website can track activity, at least to know when they come back to our website. So I can see that Chris, the test lead Chris, went to our website twice today. You can add an appointment, you can title it, you can add a location, you can add guests that are either other agents or other leads. You can set the type. So most often it would be like a showing or a listing consultation, buyer consultations, or I love the strategy of calling it a listing strategy or a home buying strategy. And then after the fact, you can set it as an outcome like client, met, not interested. Add collaborators. So if for whatever reason you need another agent within your team to have access to the lead, you add them as collaborators here. You can upload files to the lead as a file or as a link. So if you have a Google Drive link or a Dropbox link, you can add it as a link instead. If you're working with the client and you now have a deal, you have an accepted offer or on the buy side or the sell side, usually I make the name the address. You would select if it's buyer or seller. You add the price. If it's 500,000, add the close date, add commission. You can do percent or dollar amount. People is the lead, team is who's the agent. You can add a description if you'd like. You can create your own deal custom fields. So some people track when the listing is going live, when it's expiring, when is the earnest money due, and creating automations around that. And then we also use another third-party tool called Lead Engage. We don't use the widget currently, but if you have Lead Engage, you can have a widget there. And that's what I love about Follow Up Boss is they are a best-in-class CRM. They don't try to do everything. They don't try to be an all-in-one website, IDX provider, lead gen provider. They focus on their one thing, which is a CRM, but they have an open API to allow other tools to integrate with them. So they allow for other website providers to integrate so you can view the activity. They allow for other platforms to have widgets in Follow Up Boss. So I love that open approach. So that's what a person's screen looks like. Then the inbox. So for an inbox, you can manage your incoming emails, text messages, and phone calls and voicemails in the inbox. You can use a personal inbox. You can create team inboxes. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty there, but I love team inboxes so you can track incoming calls from various sources, so you know, oh, this is coming from a sign call, this one's coming from a postcard, this one's coming from a billboard, this one's coming from a radio ad. You can manage all of your communication in Follow Up Boss, and I recommend best practice is to transition away from using your personal cell phone over to the Follow Up Boss number you're given and using the Follow Up Boss dialer. If you have the lowest tier plan of Follow Up Boss, which if you're a solo agent or if you have a smaller team, that's called Grow, and you have the option to add on the dialer for an additional monthly fee, I recommend adding on the dialer and transitioning away from your cell phone over to the business Follow Up Boss number and using that on your business cards, in your email signature, on your signs, everywhere that you publish and publicly have your phone number available, because then you can have a separation from work and life. And if you are away and you want to have a vacation, you can have someone else manage your inbox for you. And I've heard of great success stories of people doing that. If you get an email from someone that's not in Follow Up Boss, or a text or a phone call, you can quickly add them to Follow Up Boss over here. So here's another example. You can respond to an email here, or let's say I got an email from a client. I either have a question I don't know the answer to, or this email is best suited for someone else within my team. I can say, you know what, I probably shouldn't be the one answering this email. I think this question should be responded by you. I can add this note, which is private. The client or the person sending me this email cannot see this. And then I can reassign it to someone else. And then after I do that, it disappears from the inbox and then goes somewhere else. So I've turned my inbox into a team inbox so others can help me manage it. And I've just moved it to my personal inbox, which I no longer use. But I'm going to move it back to the team inbox. You can also forward an email from the inbox as well. Tasks, you can see today's tasks, overdue tasks, and future tasks for you, for other team members as well. You can filter by type, follow-up, call, email, text, showing, closing. In order to have a type associated with the task, you have to be manually assigning the type, which does take time. So that's why I recommend reserving tasks for the most important things. And that is why my tasks are a very minimum. I only have 2 overdue and 13 future, because I use majority smart list for my follow-ups versus tasks. Calendar, it syncs with whatever calendar you've connected to Follow Up Boss. I've connected Google Calendar. I only have 1 more call left for the day, so I just see that on my calendar for today. And I can choose to see other team members' calendars if I wanted to. So Angie's our salesperson, so she has lots of calls showing on the calendar for today. Deals, if we tracked deals, they would be showing up here for buyers and sellers, and you can click and drag. So after you create a deal, they will be added here, and you can just click and drag. I had previously created a test deal, and just like I showed you before, when you create a deal in someone's lead profile, they would get added to this page here as well. I also love using the deal section for tracking outbound and inbound referrals if you want, if you need to ensure that the agents you refer clients to are not dropping the ball. Reporting, you can go crazy. I'm not going to go too in depth here because that's another hour's worth of information. But I love the activity section. You can get really granular of seeing agent activity of how many calls are made within a period of time, emails, texts, notes made, tasks, appointments set, appointments done, average speed to action. You can check all of these if you want to. Contact attempts, email attempts, text messages, leads not acted on, leads not called, not emailed, not texted. How many leads are actually responding? How many have responded via email, via phone, via text? How many deals have closed, and so on. And you can see all of that. And then I have a platform account, so I can create teams. I obviously don't really care about my copywriter's production, but I do care about my sales team the most. And I can look at the past month, this month or last month, and see sales team has gotten 67 leads. They've made 900 calls, 600 emails, 82 texts, 32 notes, set 5 appointments manually. They've done 69 appointments. Speed to action is 2 days. Again, our speed to action is terrible because we operate like a traditional business of a 9 to 5, and so on. And then you can see stats here. And if I wanted to, I can see, okay, Angie's made 61 calls. Let's click on that number. She's made 61 calls to 41 people. So that means some of these people got more than one phone call from Angie. If I had an IDX connected to Follow Up Boss, I could see property inquiries. And what's really cool about this page is I would see a map view and pinpoints of how many inquiries each zip code got or each property got. I can also see lead sources, so how many leads I've gotten. And if I tracked deals, I could also see conversion rates. So this is why reporting is so helpful in your CRM, is you can track appointments, and then ultimately deal value and conversion rate for your lead sources to see if you generate and pay for leads, if it's worth it. My personal favorite are the calls, to check my sales team's productivity with making calls and making sure they're making calls. Morgan is our ISA, so Morgan is going to make the most calls out of everyone. Tomas, we just hired 2 weeks ago, so Tomas is in training. That's why there are 0 calls made. So 864 dials with 50 people connected. Connected means the call lasted more than 1 minute, with 23 conversations, meaning the call lasted more than 2 minutes. This shows how many text messages were sent. No one on my team really sends batch emails except for me. I don't really pay attention to marketing. We don't really track deals. Appointments, I spend a lot of time here. Appointments, I'm being told, is going to be getting a revamp soon. It does need a revamp because right now I'm exporting appointments every month just to be able to see a simple pie chart of our percentages, of a percentage of met, of our outcomes basically, of met versus client versus no-show. And then the leaderboard. So again, Morgan is our ISA, so she by far has the most points. So you can gamify the activities agents are doing. So Morgan has the most points, then Angie, then Rebecca. And then if you wanted to track agent goals, which we don't set goals because our team members are salary, not commission like agents. And then the admin panel. So in the lead flow, this is where you can select for each lead source how you want to distribute the leads, meaning where do you want the leads to go? Do you want the leads to go to one person on your team here? Do you want it to go to a pond where multiple people can see the lead and try to reach them? Do you want it to go to a first to claim group, or just you want it to be all even and fair and a round robin? Do you also want the leads to go to a lender? That lender or lenders have to be users in your Follow Up Boss account. And then assign an action plan. An action plan means automated emails, or if you use a third-party platform like we use Texting Betty, automated text messages. We avoid tasks, but you can also put tasks in there. So this is where you can individually select, okay, for this lead source, I want these to go to Kendra. For this lead source, I want them to go to customer success, and so on. So this is where I recommend going through your lead sources. And this is where you set up your lead sources. Most lead sources can push over to Follow Up Boss. In fact, if you have a lead source that cannot go over to Follow Up Boss, it's because they have a closed API or they're a bit outdated. Follow Up Boss should be able to receive any lead source, whether it's through a direct API integration, Zapier, or email parsing. So groups means you're either setting up a first to claim or a round robin. So first to claim means when a new lead comes in, whoever is in this first to claim. So if I say, okay, Chris, Angie, Shay, Chelsea, you're all going to receive an alert that there's a new lead. Whoever says, okay, I want it, whoever clicks on the lead first gets the lead and claims the lead first. You can select to hide the name of the lead and hide the source to remove any bias. And you can have a timeout to say if no one ever claims the lead after so many minutes, then you can have the lead go to a pond, for example. Or you can create a group for round robin where it's evenly distributed. Creating teams is only available in the highest tier available in Follow Up Boss, which I just reached after using Follow Up Boss for 3 years. I recommend using Platform after you have like 25 team members, 20 to 25. So I've got a sales team, I have a customer service team, and so on. Action plans, which is being sunsetted into converting into automations, is basically containing all of the steps of our drip campaigns. So we have a ton of them, but for example, we have like a new buyer lead plan that runs for 2 years long. And because we have so many email templates and so many plans now, it does take a little while to load. But you can see here it runs for 2 years long, and you can select for an action plan to send one text message automatically. So this is why we use Texting Betty to be able to drip text beyond. And then we send an email. You can select if an action plan automatically stops sending anything if the lead responds. If you include all email addresses for the email steps, that means if there are relationship email addresses or other email addresses in the lead profile, it's going to send that email to everyone. If you select to share with everyone, that means everyone within the Follow Up Boss account. So not only me, the owner, but Angie and Rebecca will also be able to see and use that action plan. And so just creating an action plan from scratch, you have the ability to create a task, send an email. If you send an email, you can either have the email sent from the assigned agent, the assigned lender, or from a specific person. You can have it change the stage of the lead, add a note. So a hack for the note is, I've seen teams put in scripts here. Add a tag and remove a tag, add collaborators, remove collaborators, pause action plans, or pause a specific action plan. Automations, I love automations. I have so many of these as well. Let's see an example like of a nurture. Let's just do nurture, regular nurture plan. When we change the stage to nurture, hot, warm, or cold. These are the triggers. If the lead is tagged as a buyer, then we trigger the nurture buyer action plan. So the way it works is an automation automates an action plan. So like I mentioned, action plan is being sunsetted next year into automation. So automation and action plan will be one and the same. But basically an automation has to have a trigger. The trigger can be the stage of the lead changes, or a tag gets added, or the deal stage changes, or a new inquiry, or the calendar date, or coming soon an appointment date, or a property saved, property viewed. So let's just say stage is changed to active. You can add conditions to say only continue if the phone is good, or the lead has this tag, or they were created more than so many days ago, or only continue if they're in this pond. So you can get really creative to ensure the right person gets the right message at the right time. And then you say, okay, I want to either ensure the lead gets reassigned, or a note gets added, or I want to assign an action plan like they're coming back to the website. Pawns. Pawns are a way for multiple agents within your team to view a lead. Pawns are only available to accounts that have more than one user. Otherwise, there's no need or use for pawns. So that's why that's not available to solo user accounts. So pawns just allow for not only Rebecca to see the leads, but also me and Jesse and Morgan to see the leads as well. And we're all allowed to see the leads and attempt to reach them. Email templates are self-explanatory. You can see all of the email templates in your account, and you can create new email templates. This is the email template creator. You also have the ability to add in some HTML formatting. However, I avoid HTML formatting because then that increases the risk of the email going to spam. And you'll see here that the signature, whenever the email sends, gets pulled from My Settings, the email signature in the My Settings, which I'll show you in a little bit. Same thing as email templates, you have the ability to create text templates. You can import CSVs, custom fields. So these are all of our custom fields. You can click and drag and change the order. When you create a custom field, you can name it. You can make it just a plain text, a date. You can have it occur every year. You can just have it be a number or drop down menu option. Select your billing information for your account, adjust your stages, phone numbers. So we have 2 team inboxes, and then these are the phone numbers for our team members. You can manage your tags for your database. We have 2,100. So for those of you who have thousands of tags, you're not alone. We have thousands of tags as well. Manage your integrations. So we have the Pixel installed on our website. It's fun to browse this page every now and then and to see what integrations are available with Follow Up Boss. So we have Texting Buddy, as I mentioned. Company information is very important, and to register your business for compliance purposes. API keys, we use API keys for third-party integrations. Managing your appointments, your appointment types, appointment outcomes. Email domain authentication is also very important for ensuring you have email deliverability. In this top right corner here, you can quick send an email. You can quick make a phone call by either searching for a person's name here or manually typing in a phone number if they're not in Follow Up Boss. Just note that if you manually type in a phone number of someone that's not in Follow Up Boss, it's hard to find that outgoing phone call if it's not a lead in Follow Up Boss. Same with a text message. If you send a text message to a phone number not in Follow Up Boss, it's kind of hard to find that outgoing text message. Quick add a new person to Follow Up Boss. Notifications. So this is similar to like Facebook notifications, like the notification bell. You can adjust your notification settings here. Just make sure that you enable browser notifications if you want to have browser push notifications. Enable text notifications if you want to receive that. And you can adjust the notification and what you want to happen, how you want to be notified per event. So when you receive a new lead, do you want to have the notification bell, meaning here? Do you want to have a browser push notification? Do you want to have a mobile push? In order to have the mobile push, you have to have the app on your phone. Do you want to have a text message? Do you want to have an email? If you'll notice, not every event has every notification type available. Follow Up Boss has made that intentional decision so that you're not being bombarded with a text message for every single type of notification. That would just be too much. And then over here in the top right corner where your initials or your picture are, you select your settings. Pretty standard name, phone number where you receive your notifications, your time zone, your photo, your V card, your dialer settings, where you're logged in to Follow Up Boss, download the app, billing information, power-ups. I won't go into the nitty-gritty here. Blur mode, as I mentioned earlier. We have call recording enabled with the transcripts and the AI summaries. If you're in a disclosure state that requires both parties to be aware that the call is being recorded, it'll automatically have a disclaimer say before the call starts to the person that the call is being recorded. Disable batch email, I recommend disabling that. For agents, agent-only duplication is an optional feature to turn on. Appointment reminders, lead source lockdown, enforce Google login, agent action plans, and call from for admins. Keeping an eye on product changes. And system status. This is a page to bookmark in case something is wonky and you want to know what is going on. So, that was a lot. So hopefully y'all found this helpful. I know I was kind of speeding up as I was getting to the end, but I wanted to make sure I got through the whole demo. Hopefully y'all found that helpful. So to recap, below this video, I'll include a link to the guide for setting up Follow Up Boss that's free, as well as the paid for Follow Up Boss crash course.